US and Israeli media are reporting the Biden administration is set to sanction a battalion of the Israeli military for committing human rights violations in the occupied West Bank. It would be the first time the US has imposed sanctions on a unit of the Israeli army. Al Jazeera's Stefanie Dekker is in Tel Aviv, joins us from there. So what kind of reaction are we getting from Israeli officials to these reports?
Rebuffing and outrage. This is very much expected. The army is one of the only institutions here that people simply do not criticize as a conscription army, and everyone has served. It's something that unites the country. You had the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. He said that at a time when our soldiers are fighting monsters, the intention to issue sanctions at the height of absurdity and a moral low. You also had Benny Gantz, he's a member of the War Cabinet, former Chief of Staff, saying this is a dangerous precedent and sends the wrong message to our common enemy at a time of war. You also had the leader of the opposition, Yair Lapid, saying that this was a mistake, but that this wasn't a military mistake. This was a political one, particularly highlighting two of the ministers that Netanyahu brought in with him. The only way for him really to form a government and serve as prime minister, Bezalel Smotrich, the finance minister, and Itamar Ben-Gvir. Both these men are associated very much part of the ultra-nationalist right-wing settler movement. Yair Lapid there saying that these are men that support settler violence. And this battalion, Sami, made up of ultra-Orthodox, has in the past multiple times been accused of carrying out violations against Palestinians in the occupied West Bank. Many of them live in the occupied West Bank, just like Smotrich and Ben-Gvir. So what this does, if this does go ahead, hugely significant that it would be the first time that the Americans sanction, even if it's just a battalion, because it's very publicly saying that they are committing human rights abuses.
And we understand the War Cabinet's meeting today. What can we expect out of that?
Yes, this has been called by two of the members of the War Cabinet, Benny Gantz and Gadi Eisenkot, both former chiefs of staff, to discuss the hostages. The hostages really have fallen off the agenda, Sami, because particularly what we've seen happen here in the last week, just over a week or so, the escalation, the severe escalation, unprecedented with Iran. The War Cabinet met daily, multiple times, to discuss how to respond. We were at the protest yesterday here in Tel Aviv, thousands of Israelis showing up, protesting, calling for this government to do more to bring the hostages home. People saying they don't care what kind of a deal is struck with Hamas at this point. The priority should be to bring them home. Where are we? 133 hostages, 129 of those from October the 7th. They're also including the number of 4 of those, 2 dead soldiers and 2 men who crossed into Gaza in 2014. The big question is how many remain alive. There's estimates that almost 40 of them are dead. Some reports saying that only 40 of them are alive, and certainly many Israelis are saying whether any of them remain alive. And that 7 months into this war, this government simply hasn't made bringing them back a priority.
All right, we'll leave it there. Thanks so much, Stefanie Dekker.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.